right, DJ Nubis here
DJ Nico
on the Middle Time Radio podcast, doing a live stream of just general Q&A and also entertainment and music talk with our good friend and fellow host Deryk from Knick Knacks and Knick Knacks. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me again. I'm excited. I haven't done something like this in a long time. Yes. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, look, there we are.
So I had like some topics I want to talk about. Obviously, if you have things you want to talk about, you can bring them up and ask. And of course, anybody in the chat, I see Jake's in there already. So hello, Jake. How you doing, sir? Thanks for coming. Yeah, so any topics? First, I did want to ask you, though, because, you recently just talked about your split. You have tarantulas. How are they? Where are they? What are they doing?
Okay, so I'll keep it the short version of that story because obviously, as you guys know, you can never have one tarantula. Once you get one, it's what is the next species I can get, and then you just keep going and going. Well, I got to a point where I had about 20 tarantulas, right? Yeah, she's pointing. Yeah, you know how it goes. We had about 20 tarantulas. And then once everything happened with the split, it was an issue of, immediately I had to move back in with my parents, just move all my stuff over while I looked for a place because the market is just, I didn't want to jump into anything.
It's crazy.
So it's so hard. Yeah. I'm sure it's the same where you are, it's kind of like a countrywide thing at the moment. And so it was kind of difficult finding a spot initially. That was good enough for me and my kids. So I had to unfortunately sell every tarantula I had. But with that money, I was able to get started and get things, just kind of added to my account and get things going again so I could jump into a new spot. But the other day I actually got a wild caught tarantula out here in Oklahoma. One was running across the road. Oh yeah, we have, it's the Aphanopelma hensey. So
no kidding.
They call it the Texas brown or Oklahoma brown. And it's just kind of like your plain Jane tarantula, but we caught him and he is one of my favorite tarantulas I've ever had. Actually, we named him Sir Henry and he's super active. He's always walking around his cage. I feed him water. He'll go run up to it and drink it. I feed him something. He'll eat it up real quick. He's amazing. And, so I've just got one right now, but I've already started looking on Jamie's tarantulas to maybe pick up a second one. So you know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know tarantulas made it that far up. That's interesting.
Yeah, we've got that's the only like local one we have here. Now, about a state over, you'll start running into like your Arizona desert blondes and everything like that. A little further south, you'll start finding, some versiculars and things like that. But right here, the only ones you'll find are those. But this time of year, you'll see them running across the roads like crazy.
That's pretty crazy. So any new shows you've been watching lately? Anything that caught your eye?
So as far as shows, man, haven't gotten into a whole lot of TV shows lately. But I've seen a few new movies recently, and I actually picked up like a couple of DVDs the other day. But just as far as recently goes, Top Gun Maverick was amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
One of the best movies I've seen in such a long time. Jurassic World Dominion was terrible, in my opinion. So there's like two opposite sides of the spectrum that I've seen recently. But again, my opinion. We picked up this New Zealand flick. It's just like a little B film. It's called Mega Time something. I can't even remember. But anyway, and it's hilarious. It's great. I should have brought it up here to talk about it because I thought about it before I came on. But just like I haven't been watching as much as I want to lately, just because I've been working and getting helping my girlfriend get her business started and things like that, and it's just moving as well. We just moved last week for about 30 miles away from where we were, so a lot of things like that going on. But as far as watching things, just trying to catch some stuff in theaters. The Black Phone is another one that I saw recently that we
haven't seen that
I could
yet.
talk about that one all day long. See, then I won't.
I don't even know what it's about.
Well, is it
I won't
good?
even.
Like,
I won't even go into it. I won't even go into it. I gave it
I
an
don't even know what
8.8.
it's about.
That's all I'll say. Okay. So I can give you like a very general, no spoiler synopsis, right? So you've got this guy, guy. They call him the Grabber, and he's an abductor, and he kind of is hitting this small town almost in like a Pennywise type fashion, except less supernatural. But he abducts this one kid, and it's kind of about his struggle while he's abducted. It's dark, but maybe not quite as dark as you would think it gets. Blumhouse kind of tones it down slightly, and it's a really, really, really good like thriller type movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it an 8.8. I liked it a lot. Ethan Hawke gives like an amazing performance, and he's becoming one of my favorite actors at the moment, especially after that in The Northman. And he's kind of starting to go out of that mainstream and hit some of those odder movies and making them great, So that's what I like to see.
right. Yeah, we recently saw this movie here that I just got on DVD.
Yes.
And we enjoyed the shit out of that.
I loved it so much. I didn't even know what to expect. I had no context or anything.
What's crazy is you could watch the trailer for that and still have no context. It does not give anything away. And I won't either because it's fairly new. But like about halfway through that movie, I was like, what's happening right now? And it just told a whole different story than I thought it would. It was amazing. Obviously, Anya Taylor-Joy she's awesome and everything. I love her. And just like good performances, good story. What is his name? Is it Matt Smith? Is that his name? Matt Smith. Matt.
I think so.
Yeah, the Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The 11th Doctor. Yeah, and he's great in it. And it's just a great movie. I love thrillers that just kind of sit on the edge of horror without going full horror, but just keep you on the edge of your seat. Thriller, like a lot of South Korean films do. Like I Saw the Devil, things like that. They just kind of teeter on that line of, is this like horror? But it's, I don't know. They just, I love those films. Some of my favorite ones.
I do
and like
too.
The Black Phone fits into that category.
It has like a supernatural kind of element to it. And then I also I just was really intrigued, like at first by this girl's story. She's like gonna go into fashion and then like, I'm like, is she hallucinating? What is she doing? And it was really interesting.
Yeah, the color.
Yes, and then
the color schemes kind of remind me a little bit of a Suspiria in a little way. I really liked the usage within the film. It was really nice to look at.
Yeah, it was exactly the flashback, the way that it was almost like they had some like Doctor Strange elements in the way that Inception type stuff, in the way that they tie in the past, but then you also get these films these days are doing such a better job of tying in several different genres. You've got your suspense and your thriller and your horror all in one movie, but then they'll throw in some comedy aspects, and you're starting to see like these movies really be like full, complete cinematic journeys, which I like to see. I like to see niche movies too, but it's nice to see movies like this that are able to, kind of surprise you and do a bunch of different genres all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I know recently we just finished up Stranger Things, the second part of that, which was a lot of fun. Definitely loved the shit out of this guy here, who I thought was just a badass. Eddie Munson, of course. I actually had posted something where I made a meme and I posted it on a forum, and I guess I posted a little bit too early because I put the RIP dates.
Oh, you asshole!
And they're like, spoilers, man! They were so pissed.
We didn't even watch it like right away. We watched it a couple of days later, but you got to give it at least a week.
I was excited, I was bummed about the death. What can I say?
I don't blame you. Yeah, it's it's what Stranger Things does. It just throws these awesome, amazing, like lovable characters. I start man crushing on some guy and they kill him. Like,
you're right.
I started watching the first season again after we finished the fourth because it was really nice to see like how, when they first started, they were really kids and then they've just grown so much like as actors themselves and then through the story as well.
Yeah,
it's such a well-directed show.
I'm going to pose this question to you, Deryk. the character of Will. Now he's the one that was taken in the first season.
Yes.
I was reading an article today. Like I'm not, and this isn't like going to be anti-negative or anything. I don't want to be taken that way, but there's a moment in the van where he and Mike are talking, and it gets very emotional. My take on it was that maybe Will is probably gay. Like,
You thought he was crushing on Mike.
right?
That's
but
the way
then,
it looked.
but then there's people that are making the argument that maybe it's just more he sees Mike as a brother, and it was like just a really emotional moment, discussing 11 and everything else. So I don't know. What's your take on that whole situation? Because they never really.
Okay. That's a good question. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's funny because not only does Stranger Things do this, but there's a couple, and I won't, because I don't know what you've seen and what you haven't seen, but there's a couple things I've seen recently that have done this kind of the same thing, where like at the beginning of a series or a film, you start getting like these almost like you feel like these characters are going to have like a deep, like an intimate type of connection. And then it turns out that maybe they're both straight, and you're kind of left a little confused. You're like, well, I thought we were building something here. Then what's the purpose of showing this deepness? And exactly. And of course, there's nothing wrong with deep male connection. There's nothing wrong with hugging your friends, and there's nothing wrong with crying to your bros, or or anything like this, or having these deep emotional moments whatsoever. But at the same time, when you're portraying something a certain way, you're expecting something. And I don't know what the angle of some of these shows and movies are. I don't know if they're trying to show that it is okay to feel this way, or if they're trying to show maybe that these characters are having some type of, they don't know what they want or who they are exactly at this point in their lives. It's confusing because a lot of times they don't explain it out. But at the same time, that's a good thing. You get your own interpretation. You can kind of, say, whatever, it's however it hits you, I guess. But, I feel like you do. I'm left a little confused at times. I'm like, I don't know, what I'm supposed to feel from this, maybe because it's not relatable, or maybe because they didn't, pan it out the way they were supposed to. But either way, I guess that scene initially, I did find it the same way. I don't know if y'all were saying you did find it that way or not, but now I say that, but I did kind of think that like maybe we were getting some Will is, coming out. He's feeling, some, the feelings towards him and everything. But at the end of it, it's almost like the other things I've seen recently. It's like, maybe not.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know. But yeah, I do like that they are feeling more comfortable, at least adding in elements of emotion, even with the male characters. So I guess in general, it's a good thing we're moving in that direction. But at the same time, it's like a little confusing in terms of narrative.
I think when I was towards the end, remember when Will got back to Hawkins, he started like getting really freaked out. I was thinking to myself, maybe like because they're journeying back there, like his emotions were kind of like getting worse. And then when they're finally getting where they are, that was kind of like getting him so upset because he still feels a connection to the Upside Down and to.
Of course.
So I was like, maybe that's what it is it's like, just being young and anxiety, and he's separated from everybody and he's been through so much. But then because he feels like the evil inside of him, it's making him more upset than it would say, Mike.
Yeah, and that's perfect too. And again, that kind of goes back to like it's perfectly fine to show those emotions, even as a boy, as a man, and we're getting to see that more and more in film and movies, and that's super important. It's important to be able to release your emotions and show yourself, and I think that's kind of maybe what that was and what they're moving towards.
Yeah, I think if I had one negative for this season was, and Neko knows this, is I kept, I was getting into the storyline of the kids and what they're doing, and then I'd get switched over to Hopper and what's going on in Russia, and like it always felt out of place of what's going on with the kids. And so I'm like, do we really even need to have anything of this? Like, do they really need to be necessary? I know we had to bring Hopper back because that was part of the plan.
And I think that's what the whole purpose was, is just to get Hopper.
But it's just like, I didn't find myself nearly as interested in that part of it as I was with what was going on with the kids.
Exactly. And that's again, that I mean, like you talk about, directing and editing and everything like that. And I said what a good directing job they do, but at the same time, if you're going to pull back and forth between stories, a show that comes to mind that does it really, really well, or at least did for like the first 8 seasons, was Supernatural.
Oh
Where
yeah.
you could just jump like, Sam or Dean or this person or this person. I didn't care. I was watching it. It was amazing. You have different stories, like for instance Lost, where it struggled sometimes, where like you would switch narratives, you'd go to like see exactly, and I did, but almost painfully in the last 2 seasons, because like you start getting to these characters that you're like, well, these aren't the ones I would have picked to be at the end. I don't care as much, and they don't tell as good of a story. And Stranger Things has done a great job of balancing things, but I do agree that in this season it was more of a struggle going back and forth between the characters, because I was like, you know what, honestly, I'd rather just stick this story and do like a Dream Warriors type stuff, like it's almost what it started feeling like. And I was like, let's just go that route. For this, if that's where we're going with it, let's just stick with that instead of switching back and going dark and serious and gloomy. Let's stick with these kids and their journey. Let's do the Stephen King / let's just go that route. But it is what it is. And overall, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next part. But, it's a show that I watched the first 2 seasons, but it took me until the 3rd season until I was really invested in it. But I think that now they're going in the right direction. I just hope that they execute it right, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. I like the way they keep pushing the story. I think they're going the right way.
Speaking of Soldier Boy, did you ever see The Boys, that show?
Okay, I have no, but I know Dean is playing Soldier Boy, and I've seen some of the like Jensen Ackles tapes of him, like being the Captain America douchebag. Yeah. But no, that is a show that it's funny you bring that up, because that show keeps popping up like in my shorts on YouTube and on my Facebook feed. And it's a show that I have always wanted to start. Like, I can't imagine a show that would more like closely fit my criteria of what I like. But for some reason, I've not got past episode 3, like of season 1. I just have not like jumped into it. But it's one I really, 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 really want to like dive into at some point.
Good. It gets better every time.
It looks so good.
Like, it gets even crazier. You're like, oh my god, did that happen? And then the next episode happens, and you're like, that happened. And from what I
keep seeing the memes, and I'm like, I gotta watch this.
Yeah,
I've never read the comic or the graphic novel or anything, but I heard that it's even worse in the graphic novel. Like, I'm like, how is it worse? Like, seriously, some of the stuff that happens, I'm like, how?
It's like I said, I've only watched the first 3 episodes, and I saw there's already stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? This is like Justice League if it was like real life, like this is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing I'd come to is Watchmen. I mean, it's like it's got that kind of grittiness about it, but it just goes like beyond. It takes Watchmen and just goes like tenfold the other direction. I'm like, holy shit.
Yes. See, I know I'd love it. Like, what is the other one? Like American Gods, and it's kind of like a toned down version of The Boys from what I've heard. And I've liked that show a lot. So I've got to start that, like get into it, because it's almost embarrassing with my criteria and my like audience and what I like that I'm not more, affluent with The Boys.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Definitely. What about any Star Wars stuff? Did you catch the Obi-Wan stuff at all?
I did. No, I did. Yes, definitely watched Obi-Wan. So Star Wars is something that there will never be anything that comes out that I won't watch or read. That is one of the few things, like as far as, and I love Star Trek too, but as far as like Star Wars, Star Trek, always been Star Wars. Lord of the Rings, love it. But like Star Wars is like the central piece of my, like cinematic universe. I just love Star Wars. So I definitely, as soon as Obi-Wan came out, I kept up with that one, watched it. I have never like reviewed series as they came out episode wise on my channel. I thought about doing it with Kenobi, but I didn't. I think I'm probably going to do it with Ahsoka when it comes out. So it might be the first one, depending on if anything comes out between now and then. But definitely want to start on the Disney Plus Star Wars, series. They've just been so good. But Obi-Wan was a show that I've been looking forward to, obviously, for about, at least a year, maybe two. They've been talking about it for a long time. I knew Hayden Christensen, and like even McGregor were going to be coming back. Just made it, like when I heard Hayden Christensen was coming back, I was like, this is going to be the best thing ever. I just knew there was something in me. I was like, this is going to be the best thing. So
and it's hard not to be happy for him either because of all the shit that he took the first time.
I know. And what's so sad is I always thought he was a great Anakin. Like, yeah, he's not the best actor. You watch him in other shows. There are movies where he does not do a great job. I've seen it. It's fine. But there are movies where he does, like Jumper. He did pretty good in that. He did good in that movie where he was that surgeon patient that was awake.
Yeah.
Maybe it was called Awake. I can't remember, but he did great in that. But he's always been like an actor that has been hit or miss, and he played Anakin a certain way, and he was dogged for it. But George Lucas even came out and said he was like, played Anakin like there was nothing that could have been more perfect. Like it was exactly how he imagined him, the way he looked, the way he acted, everything. So like, that's if the creator of the character says that, it's true because nothing else can be true. So like he nailed it.
Yeah, it's better now that because he came back and he's made it his own now. Like he's taken hold of it and said,
exactly.
I am leader. So it's like I love
exactly. That. You get those years of fans building up anticipation for him to come back, and they forget about the bad things. They just remember the good, and then by the time he comes back, he can just build upon that, and he puts on just an even better performance. He just kills Vader in the Kenobi series, kills it. And I won't give too much away. There's probably not a lot of people, or some people at least, who haven't seen the end yet. But just like some of the dialogue you end up getting is just, I could not imagine it being any better. Just perfect dialogue, perfect acting. They ended it great, and I still want more. I've seen that meme going around, but it's true.
Did you I forget the character name, but did you catch that the basis for Chili Pepper's Flea was one of the characters earlier in the film who kidnapped Leia?
Yes.
I thought it was really.
It was episode 1. Episode 1 out in the wood. They're out in the woods, and I was like, "That's Flea." Like I'm like, "That's Flea right there."
He's like,
I said, "Look at the teeth! Look at the teeth! That's Flea."
And I'm like, "What is Flea doing in a Star Wars show?" Like,
I was thinking the hair, like the bald, but just like kind of the couple of hair. I was like, "That's Flea. That's Flea." I know him.
Did you see though? It was. I don't know how real it is. I got a feeling it's real, but the you're gonna probably know his name better than me. He directed Ragnarok for Thor. And he was in
Taika Waititi.
Yeah. He apparently asked Natalie Portman if she wanted to star in a Star Wars series. And she's like, I've been in 3 movies. He had apparently not known that or forgot about it. Like, that's how funny that is.
She's like, I'm good.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine? Oh, my God.
That's
especially
tough.
Like somebody established like her that was like a major character.
You're
like
right.
The whole reason Anakin turns to the dark side.
Exactly. Well, now we'll switch over a little bit to the music part. Anything you've been checking out lately? Any good stuff?
Oh, let's see. So, I've always been into real heavy thrash metal things. Like you got like Knocked Loose, Kublai Khan, a lot of those new bands. But I've actually lightened up just a little bit recently, just different reasons, but still headbanging just as hard, just the lighter stuff. There's a band lately that I have been just digging, and they're a 2-piece band called Cleopatra. And they are really good. You need to check those guys out. Dead Poet Society. Just kind of like a little bit more like I guess you would consider it alternative, but like hard alternative. I don't know. It's weird. You would have to look them up. Like Cleopatra. Look up Hometown, and I could give you a couple song names, but they're a really good, solid band.
Yeah, we'd probably play them like on our Rock and a Hard Place podcast or in a rock block if they're kind of like along that line. So
Yeah, they get like that. They've got like that Pittsburgh metal sound or Pittsburgh rock sound at least.
if you give you some recommendations for thrash, if you want, there's Accusators, Trial by Fire.
Okay, I've not heard of that. Accusators. Okay.
Yep. Schizophrenia, Recollections of the Insane. That album's out this year. And then Flames, they were like shit, like an old 80s thrash band, Thrash Death, and they just released Resurgence. So that was a really good record, too. So if you're really interested in thrash, so.
Yeah, so one of the reasons, I'll go ahead and tell this story. I mean, that's why I'm here. So I might as well go ahead and open it and tell a story. So the last like thrash concert I went to was Spite. And what's funny about them is that they're a very, very, very hard thrash band, just, nasty, cultish type band, from California. And I've seen them a couple times. And one time I got my jaw broke at their show. And I actually had to get braces and everything to keep everything straight. It was super. At the time I was like, this is the metal, well, about a month ago, I went to another show of theirs, but I took my girlfriend, and I lost her for a few seconds. She accidentally got hit inside of this mosh pit by a windmill, and it cut her open above her eye, and she had this giant swollen eye. It took me I had to go find her. It was this whole ordeal, and when I found her, she was just gushing blood, and it was terrible. It was terrible. So I kind of decided that day that I had to draw a line at what type of shows and what kind of metal and music was okay and was not okay with my vibes, because I love As Hard as It Gets. I do, but I don't feel the same amount of anger that I used to. So I don't vibe on that same frequency anymore. I need something. I can headbang really hard and have a good time and jump and mosh and everything, but it doesn't take stuff that's so beat down as much anymore. And
I mean, we're too old.
That's one of the things. Obviously, getting older and just like I said, finally kind of getting to a spot in my life where I feel happy, content, not feeling those emotions necessarily anymore the way I did.
Well, a funny story with her was, we're both really big Napalm Death fans.
Oh, yeah.
That's the exception.
Well, but she went to the front for one show, probably the last one that we saw them live.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
She likes to squirm her way up to the front.
And I'm really short, so it's easy. I just crawl on the ground.
But it was inside one of the venues. It wasn't outside. So, she ended up getting, kicked.
Someone, they jumped off the stage and, onto me, and I'm like, I'm not catching you. So I got drop kicked to the head.
She got kicked. All right, fuck that. I'm out of here.
And I went over because there was it's a bar on this side, a bar on this side. Then there's a couple of steps up and there's bars in the back. I just kind of went over to the sidebar so I was still able to see them. But I'm like, I'm not getting drop kicked. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel that I love the music, but it's, when you get there live and some of the energy that these people have and what they're bringing, and you kind of forget why you got involved in this scene in the first place, or at least for me. And I was like, I'm just not that same angsty, angry person anymore. I love the music, but I cannot do this mosh pit stuff the way I used to.
Right.
We just like to enjoy it, without being.
I could be sipping on a glass of wine, pinky out, listening to Knocked Loose, oh yes, this is tasteful, but it's blah. I don't have to hit somebody to it anymore.
Exactly,
right.
That's how we are. We enjoy. I feel like he had injured both of his feet, which is crazy because he's a delivery driver, so he had to take some time off of work. So he had a boot, and then he had something else going on and this is during Maryland Death Fest. There is nowhere to sit, so I'm carrying around a little portable chair. So when his feet start bothering him, I'm popping it open so he can sit down.
I actually felt kind of boss when I pulled out that chair. I was like, fuck yeah!
had little cup holders.
Because
and
on the
everything.
Edison lot, it was kind of like an incline, so down you could see the stage and people, and like I was kind of on this hill, so I just popped the chair open. It's like, yep, I can watch both stages.
And
perfectly.
it's the nice thing is you still see the stages even though you weren't super close. But I was like, it was just hot, and I was being whiny because it was hot, and I'm like, are we just too old? And I think like because his feet were bothering him. And we did have the chair, but we would go back to the car and like, have snacks and beers and just sit at the car. And it's so loud. You can literally hear it there. I'm like, why did we even buy a ticket? Like, we could have bought like a 1-day ticket and gone to all the merch shops and then just sat and enjoyed ourselves. But we had a good time. I'm not saying we didn't have a good time. It was just kind of like bad timing. I literally just got home from the ship.
I was like a couple of days before.
It was, so I get home on the 18th, and I think our friend Jason stayed with us for 6 days. He gets to our house like 4 days later, and then he was here for 6 days, and we were doing so, and then he had his foot injury, and he's like just getting back to work too, but it'll still flare up he has a heel spur. I don't even know how there's no way of healing a heel spur either. You just have to deal with it.
You just gotta let it happen.
But yeah, we ran into a couple of friends. Crip from Metal Mania was there. Necrotic Nick from Thralls of Metal. A couple guys that do shows on YouTube.
Yes.
But sadly, we met them around the same time. Some kid like launched himself off the top of the venue and killed himself
at the venue.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different venues, and the one venue where like most of the like grindcore stuff. There's a giant parking lot attached to it. So we were coming out because we just watched No Mas, and there's police tape. And I'm like, well, it's Baltimore. So, I'm not, no shocker here. And everybody's like just kind of freaked out. And Crypt was there and he saw it. And I was like, oh my God. And I thought like maybe somebody was dicking around.
I thought somebody got hit by a car because it's right next to like a main roadway around town.
Right.
Like I thought, damn, somebody got hit, but then they said the guy committed suicide. I was like,
climbed up the rafters or something and jumped
off. It was the parking garage.
There's a parking garage on top of the venue, so you can literally walk up.
Oh my God!
Like 7 stories high, I guess, and so it was really crazy. And they actually like started a GoFundMe for him, and apparently he went the night, but this was Thursday. He went and had a good time, but then he posted on Facebook in the morning about like killing himself, and then he did, and it was just
sad.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So, and it was
wow.
So it did put like a cloud over the whole weekend, but it was also really nice to see like how, because there's a Maryland Death Fest group that everybody joins when they buy tickets, and everybody like they started the GoFundMe for the family, and people were sharing pictures of him and stuff. So, we did not know him personally. It was just really insane. It was a shocker kind of thing.
That's crazy. Yeah, that just breaks my heart. I hope that, I just wish that more people would feel comfortable reaching out,
I do too.
Obviously.
Mental health needs to be addressed big time in the States. Like it's just not, and it needs to be.
And I also feel like
we're behind in that.
Talking about like with men aren't allowed to be emotional except for him. Right. He's always emotional. I love.
I'm emotional. I cried during the second time I watched Top Gun today. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
First one or second?
I'm like Rooster. Yeah.
Oh, okay, second one.
But I think sometimes when especially men, that's the reason why their suicides are usually more successful is nobody, number one, takes them seriously when they're, reaching out for help, or they won't reach out for help at all, or they'll self-medicate themselves to the point of they're accidentally, killing themselves. And it's kind of a shame because like the whole idea of the metal community is to kind of like, you're a little bit different. You're the outsider. So you're being with all these people who enjoy something as much as you enjoy it too.
And that's the metal scene is really good about that. And, in terms of at least, comparatively, I mean, obviously you've got your bad eggs, but like in terms of the metal scene, you get your really big diversity of people. You get all sort of genders, races, sex, orientations, and everyone is just there to, vibe. It's kind of that way with EDM, which is why I've kind of started getting into like the rave and EDM scene lately as well. Just good music, good people, just vibing, having a good time, and accepting everybody for who they are. And it's creating like safe venues for these people to just literally do whatever you want. People can turn up, they can chill out, they can just
socialize,
whatever. Exactly. Yeah, it's always a good time if people are there with good intentions.
right?
I mean, I didn't even know EDM was still a thing because I was like going to raves and all like when I was 19, and then I drug him to a few. He's like, "No, thanks. I'll sit on the couch. It's cool."
They're a little much. My girl is more the raver than I am, but I like the people more than I like the craziness. There's similar minded people at least. Like if I was 19 or 20, I'd be into it more than I am now. But it's just like meeting people who can appreciate art like music and movies, and kind of relate it to the emotions of daily life, and you all connect that way. There's something special about that, and I think metal does a pretty good job of that too.
I was 19 23 years ago. I'm just surprised that the music is still around.
Hey, metal's still around, so hey.
Do they still do the glow sticks? And you're like,
and they just.
Oh my God! There's so many glow sticks. There's hula hoops. There's finger lights. Yeah.
It's probably even more intricate now that you have like cooler gadgets because it was just
people get crazy.
That's all it was and then like foam, like you do the foam and then the smoke but
no,
I don't
they're
know.
Nuts. Yeah, y'all should try to go to one like EDM Vegas or something, or EDC or something. What it's called? You should try to go to one sometime. They're nuts. He's like, no.
Yeah, no, I just can't do it.
A friend of mine used to DJ, and I think he still does occasionally. But when we were in our like late teens, early 20s, and I met him when I was 21, and he was like already 32. So he was like, I'm just not into this, bouncing around, and it was tiny.
Nothing wrong with that either. Yeah.
Well, the one place that we used to go all the time, there was like a tiny, tiny room that if you could get back there, you'd have the couch. So he would like go right straight back to the couch. He's like, I'm good back here, babe.
Yep, just give me a beer. I'll just sit right here, mind my business.
God.
So what do you guys think about some of the older metal like Led Zeppelin and things like
love Led Zeppelin.
Okay, so my question is because I have tickets to see Greta Van Fleet in November. Do y'all know who that is?
I am familiar with the name. I don't know any music. I don't think. I just know who they are.
I'll have to send you stuff. Yeah, no worries. They're they're a band. They're younger than me. They're like 25-year-olds. They're brothers, kind of like a hippie gypsy kind of guys, and they sound almost like a perfect combination of Rush and Zeppelin, and they're amazing. And they make but they started off sounding almost too much like those people, but they have recently in the last couple of years found their own sound, and it is an old school sound, but it's theirs, and they are, I mean, lyrically and musically, vocally, these guys are doing 70s metal and rock like the 70s couldn't even do, and they're just so incredibly talented. They're one of the few bands that like their music makes me feel very emotional still, and they're just very, very talented and well-rounded people in general. I like following them like on social media and stuff. They're good guys. You should definitely check them out. I'll send you some of their music, but they are like just a very, like I said, like that softer rock I can still headbang to, just more lyrically than anything.
I'm actually into a lot of that. I'm into a lot of that the bands that kind of pay homage to like the 70s rock era. So like you recommended them, like you should check out Blackwater Holy Light. I was
say the same thing.
Whoops.
What'd you do? Where'd he go?
Did he do that? Oh, he left us.
Bye, Deryk.
He must have either got kicked out or something, but he'll come back.
Come back.
There he is.
Abracadabra.
That was insane. I should check out Blackwater. Was the last thing I heard.
Blackwater Holy Light. It's an all-girl band, but they have like
Blackwater
a
Holy Light.
psychedelic rock vibe. And then Black Mountain.
Okay. That one sounds familiar.
Blackwater Holy Light, the 19th, like the day after I got home.
Yeah, that was a good concert.
Nice. You were like, okay, let's go to a show. Let's do it.
Well, I had the tickets for like months, and like
he bought them because I was supposed to be home
like
April
2 weeks
30th.
prior. Yeah, so 2 weeks prior she was back, but then she's like, "Oh, we're gonna be out here a little longer." I'm like, "What?"
I was like, "Yeah, some shit got fucked up."
Yeah,
but, she got.
I was freaking out because it was getting worse, and I'm like, "Okay, so." The Maryland Death Fest, I think what did it start on the 24th or the 23rd or whatever? I'm like, if I'm home by the 22nd, can you get me home on the 22nd? That's all I care about. And they're like, okay, yeah, we can get definitely. I'm like, because as soon as we hit port, I am off this ship. So I'm talking the minute we get into port, I'm going home. And they're like, yes, definitely. So thankfully, I was home by the 18th. So.
Good. Yeah, so they got you there in time. Yeah. Good deal.
Are you pretty big into Marvel?
I am. Okay, so I used to be bigger than I am now, just in terms of like the movies. I still follow things the same way I did, and I've still seen all the movies. However, I have not seen the Loki show.
I love the Loki show.
I know, and I know I probably would too. But I have not seen. That's one I haven't seen. I've seen Winter Soldier and Falcon. I've seen WandaVision, but I have not seen Hawk. That's the other one. I haven't seen Hawkeye either.
Hawkeye was pretty good.
And I've heard that as well. Now, both shows I would love to see. But other than those two TV shows, I think I'm completely caught up. So.
Well, I was curious because I read the other day because Phase 4 is in effect right now, and I read the other day that they have a character which I did not know anything about called Werewolf by Night, and it has a werewolf guy, and I'm like, I'm all in. Just give it to me, So
please, Jesus, Could you imagine? Like, I mean, you already got a vampire, right? And is Morbius, but
yep.
Even though that did not go great. Right?
I didn't see it yet.
I saw that one.
I have not either. I guess that's the one movie I haven't seen. What'd you think?
It wasn't super great. I will say for Leto, he was much better in this role than he was in Suicide Squad as the Joker.
Okay, good.
The cool thing about it, though, is it does open up the door for him. Because at the end, I don't want to give the end because you hadn't seen it. But
I mean, you're fine. You're fine as far as I go. Yeah.
There's another character that arrives at the end, the Easter egg stuff or the post-credit stuff that you see.
So is this like a building block?
Can I ask if I get it right? Will you tell me?
Sure.
Is it Blade?
No. Although I wish that would have happened though.
I could have seen it totally being Blade, and because they've got like a guy cast that I can't remember his name, Moses.
Yeah.
Anyway, he played in Moonlight, right?
Moon Knight. Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. No. Moonlight. That was like a Academy movie like 2 years ago. I think that's the guy's playing Blade now.
Oh! I know.
Remember his name.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I will say the character that shows up is one we've already seen.
Okay. I gotta see it. I'll just watch it because now I'm excited. Now I have a reason.
You have a reason.
In terms of Marvel, I love Marvel. And I've seen Moon Knight, and I loved the Moon Knight series. Loved it. The end was like I would give the end like a 6.5 out of 10 maybe, but the show in general was like an 8 out of 10. Like I loved it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I do like the Egyptian mythology in it and stuff like that. And Ethan Hawke again was very good.
Ethan Hawke again, yes.
But the thing I was, talking with Neko about like that and Miss Marvel is that I have a hard time with Moon Knight and Miss Marvel because like I just ask myself, do I really care about these particular characters? Like I love all the main Marvel stuff. I love Multiverse of Madness. That was great. I just can't see if I'm really invested in to go into Moon Knight. I might keep checking them out, but I just don't know.
I haven't checked it out.
And you haven't checked it out either. See, that's kind of where I was. Okay, so like when the Avengers came out, like I was super excited. I was like, yes, let's do this. I watched it and I was like, that's kind of the peak, right? And then they came out with Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch that crap. Who are these guys? Right? Like what is this? I think a lot of people felt that way at the time. And I watched it and I thought, wow. I mean, they just keep going up. Like, okay, like they make the difference in the DC movies now. If we're excluding the animated movies, because DC makes terrific animated movies, like, and they're some of the best superhero movies ever made. Like the Dark Knight Rises, animated series, Part 1, Part 2, some of the best movies ever made as far as superheroes go. Batman versus Superman type stuff, but in some of the Justice League movies. But in terms of like cinematic movies, Marvel is able to take characters you have maybe not heard of or don't care about and make you love them. Whereas DC takes characters you love and have heard about and makes you care less about them, in terms of like the cinematic movies. You got your Ben Affleck Batman. I don't know many people that said he did bad or that like were incredibly upset with him in general, but like they were just kind of like, meh, But you get like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., and then like it just blows up. You get the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it blows up. Doctor Strange, who's he? He blows up. And so I've always liked following the Marvel movies and seeing the journeys they take you on. Now, granted, I do think their last few have gotten really kind of redundant and repetitive, and I think they kind of need to head in a new direction. And I think DC, obviously, with Robert Pattinson and the Batman, has gone the right direction for them too. So I think you're about to see an evening out of the DC and the Marvel cinematic universes. Obviously, you got Marvel is more Disney, more upbeat, and I think they're going to keep that route. And then you have DC that has always kind of functioned better at the dark, seedier, parts of superhero movies. And I think they're going to stick that out. I think they're doing like the Joaquin Phoenix sequel Joker, and they're going to make it a musical. I mean, from what I heard. So it's going to be – so like a lot of people are complaining. I'm like, no, just do it. Just do what you think feels right, and I'll watch it. And if it's good, it's good. Like I just feel like DC was at a disadvantage until the Batman, and now they kind of have free reign to do what they want. And so now I'm excited to see where they go, and I hope that they don't try to follow the Marvel formula. Marvel already does that great.
They get themselves in trouble is because they try too hard to be like Marvel. We saw that with
and they're not.
No, they're not. Like we saw that with the first Suicide Squad. They tried to do that. They tried to do that for the Prey movie. They tried to do that.
And that's why the second Suicide Squad was so good.
Right. Yeah, the second one far outweighed the first one.
They were like, fuck it, man.
But it's kind of weird because, like, to me, they did nail Harley Quinn well. Roby's very good in that role.
Yes.
But they just can't. DC's problem is they just can't write a really good story. But Suicide Squad, the newer one, was really the best one they've done so far for me.
Yes. And then the Peacemaker series.
Oh,
that was a big deal.
That was so funny.
Cena is amazing in that.
He's so good, man. He is. The WWE is all about acting. So a lot of these guys, like him and The Rock, they come out and they're able to just act, and like he plays Peacemaker perfectly. It is so good.
Eagly, this is my eagle. Eagly.
Eagly. And his dad is like, oh, redneck.
What was it like? Probably like the one or second episode where he's. I think it was the first one. He was on a date with that chick, and then like he's in the apartment, he's checking all those rock records and shit. He's going through them. It's like, yes, it's like Europe and Faster Pussycat. And it's like, holy shit. I'm like laughing my ass off.
So good. I mean, yeah, and that's what they need to do. They need to go like I said, like dirtier, like that Watchmen style.
Yeah,
that is exactly what the Batman reminded me of. I said to him, because I had some people compare it to the movie Seven, and like
I could see that.
So it's kind of like, yeah, I get that, but for me, as soon as I started watching it, I was like, this reminds me of The Watchmen. Like
the
how,
narrative, like when
yes,
they're talking,
where you have Rorschach talking the whole time, and that's what Batman was doing.
Yes.
And we got very little Bruce Wayne, and that's okay. I didn't need to see him at all, but because it was the Batman. And then that whole like all the narrative, but it was way too fucking long. Like I could have edited that thing down there's so many scenes where I'm like, because I was watching it and I was up kind of late and I'd fallen asleep, and I said to him, I was like, I fell asleep. Like I think there was like 30 minutes left. I don't know.
Yeah, it was, but
they could have taken at least 30 minutes out. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a little bit pretentious. A little bit pretentious.
Yeah.
My other complaint too was I did not like I mean, it wasn't terrible, but Paul Dano playing the Riddler, he was okay. He wasn't
See, okay. I have liked both Riddlers. You know, Jim Carrey, I thought was a good Riddler, like regardless of how good, bad, indifferent people are to the Val Kilmer version of the Batman movie. You know, it is what it is. But I thought Jim Carrey was pretty good. I thought Paul Dano was. I mean, there were probably 1,000 different people that could have played it just as good, just the same way. But I felt like he was exactly what the Riddler needed to be in this movie, which is someone who, in my opinion, was lost, very, politically radicalized, but also he was, maybe possibly mentally handicapped in some sort of way, or not even maybe handicapped, but faced maybe some sort of spectrum.
Sympathy towards him, and I think that's what you needed to do.
I feel like they started trying to build that too late. Like they started like showing you he had followers, he had people that cared about him, but they didn't do that until like he was like done.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if they built that up first.
Yeah, the other thing that got me was, and it's a minor point because I know this is more like vintage noir Batman, but I didn't like his outfit. I didn't like Catwoman's really. I liked her outfit. I just didn't like the mask. I thought it looked kind of ridiculous.
I agree. I can agree with both. I think Catwoman's mask didn't bother me as much, but I do agree with the Batman. I know the noir look, and they did nail that. But at the same time, like I see exactly what you mean. There are so many things I would have changed about the suit. So many things. I mean, I would have made a completely different suit than what they got. But but I did think that like as soon as he got casted, one of my biggest things is like there's two things I think when someone gets cast as Batman. I'm like, what does his chin look like in the cowl? Right? Robert Pattinson has that. He's got the jaw, he's got the chin, like perfect, right? Boom. And then it's like, how can he play Bruce Wayne? And so that's one thing that bothered me a little bit about the movie is because they changed Bruce Wayne completely. He's not a playboy. He's not a philanthropist. He's not a womanizer. He's a weirdo, which is fine. It's perfect. I'm a weirdo. But like I love the direction they went with it. And at first I didn't, like in the trailers. And when I knew what they were going to do before, just from photo shoots and the emo look, I was like, this is not going to be great. It's going to be good, but not great. But it just the way they did it, and they did so much more Batman than Bruce Wayne. It really was like a showcase of this guy. He's a recluse. He's realistic. He's not somebody that somebody can't do both these things. They can't be this dark and this gloomy and be this light too. He's not James Bond. He's not this person that's able to jump back and forth mythically. He's somebody that his alter ego is consuming him, and I love that aspect of it.
And I think maybe because this is a younger Batman, that we're gonna see maybe he does get a little bit more egotistical as he starts doing
confidence
more.
Rises. Exactly.
This is brand new Batman.
It's year 2. Yeah, I think they did that on purpose because year 1 is a specific series of Batman comics.
Okay.
Called Year 1, and they're really, really good and almost untouchable, in terms of like comic books. So I feel like they specifically told in the beginning of this movie, year 2 I've been doing this, 2 years I've been on the streets. I feel like it's because they might either go back and try to do a year 1 at some point, or because they just felt like they didn't want to try to touch all that stuff, all that material, so they're going to jump ahead and start at year 2. But either one, good choice.
Yeah, I think going into Batman, I was a little bit more comfortable because obviously after Twilight, I was like, well, is he really that good? And then people were saying, no, you need to give Pattinson a chance because he was in some other movies.
He's been in a lot of movies.
And then I saw The Lighthouse with Defoe, and I was like, dude, this dude is crazy good. Really good.
Yeah, and Water for Elephants, another good one.
Such a good movie. It's a good book. That's the whole reason I read
it. It's funny you talk about books. Twilight, that was the same way. Like, I read all the Twilight books. I read them, and I was like, these are good
I read
books.
The first one, and then I said, this is
a Twilighter over here.
No, this is Twilighter.
I love it. See, I love the books, hate the movies. I still love Robert Pattinson.
I read the first book, and then I was like, okay. I read the second book, and I was like, this is awful. And then he wanted to see the second movie because it was about werewolves. And then somehow it's always on cable, so we've ended up watching all of them. And finally, when we get to the last movie, and it was like the big reveal, and it was like, I was like, yes, they're all dead. That's another thing. I have no sympathy for those characters.
I loved every book except the 4th one. So, like, I was disappointed in the finale. But, like, 1, 2, 3, I was like, yeah, these books rock. And then I watched the movies, and I was like, these movies suck. They're terrible. So,
what some people have told me about Twilight, and also about the one with, the Hunger Games. So, everybody I've talked to who's read the Hunger Games, and they're like, it feels like the last book was just forced. It was just to be done kind of thing.
It was terrible. Again, another one that is the same exact way I felt kind of about Twilight. For me, really the only book to movie adaptations that I've thought were as good as the books are the Harry Potter series, which are fantastic books, fantastic movies.
I hate Harry Potter.
Oh my God. Oh, my heart.
You know what else I hate? Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
okay,
no.
she's done for tonight, folks. You can just cut her out of the scene altogether.
Have you ever seen a movie and thought the movie was better than a book?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me think. That's a very good question. I only have one. Yeah, that's such a hard question.
So I think that the Silver Linings Playbook movie was way better than the book. The book,
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
The book itself,
it's a little bit dark. I mean, it's a dark story, but it's way darker. And I forgot what Jennifer Lawrence's character's name was, but she is portrayed in the book like so much more messed up, and there, like, the whole dance thing didn't happen the way it happened in the movie, and I'm like, I got so attached to the movie, and then when I read the book, and the song wasn't Stevie Wonder, it was Kenny G, and I'm like, I know that's a small detail, but like, I understand why it's not Kenny G, and you put Stevie Wonder as their wedding song because it's way better. Like, they made all the right things.
It makes so much sense too, because like the way you say it, like, I think it matter what order it goes in. If you watch the movie first or read the book first, because the one that popped into my mind was Gone Girl, which is, was obviously a pretty popular book before the Ben Affleck movie. But I watched the movie and then read the book. And so that's one that stands out to me is I like the movie more. I feel like the movie was more well done. I feel like it was, and almost for the same exact reason you just said, because it was darker. The Gone Girl book was dark, but it was like more mystery, less thriller. And the movie was like more thriller, like really like dark, like you don't know what is happening. And the book was more like you're kind of starting to see the motives as you go, whereas the movie kind of was like, you just didn't know who was the bad guy. Yeah, what's going on here? And so that's one that really stood out to me when you asked that question. Another one is possibly the first Hunger Games movie in book, not the second or third, but the first was one I felt like was a great movie. Great book, great movie, but possibly a greater movie than book. Also, another one that pops up as Holes was a movie that was a fantastic movie based on a book that I felt like at least was as good. I think it's hard to compare the two, book and movie, in any circumstance, just because there are so many different things you get from either. You get more visualization and emotion from movies, but you get a lot more imagination and description from books. So it's really what mood you're in, how well it's done, so many factors. But like, yeah, I would say Gone Girl and Holes and the first Hunger Games.
There's a few movies and shows coming up on Netflix and within next few months. Wanted to get your little opinions on.
Oh,
first one, July 14th, Resident Evil.
Okay.
Are you a fan of that series?
So which Resident Evil are we talking about? Are we talking about?
Well, this is going to be a new
OG?
show. And well, yeah, you can talk about Mira Jovanovic or whatever, how you pronounce her name.
Okay, so Resident Evil is a series. Obviously, I grew up playing this game, just like I'm sure a lot of us did. I loved them. 4 is my favorite, but I love 7 and 8 too. So I like the new directions they've gone. I actually liked Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City as a movie. The new one, I felt like that was a better direction than the Mia Jovovich, Johanna, whatever her name, like you said. That Mila J, like I feel like the new direction is better than those because they went more zombie, less, what it was actually designed to be. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do there because Netflix also did the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I was not excited for because I thought they would terribly butcher it. And after the first 30 minutes of that movie, I was like, they did. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And then they somehow ended up making it a really good Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie by the end of it. So I'm excited, but maybe not necessarily maybe not on my top 5 or anything to see, just because Netflix is so hit or miss.
September 9th, new season of Cobra Kai.
Yes, absolutely. Every season of Cobra Kai, give them to me. Any show that involves mixed martial arts, karate, whether it's a little more stylized, like Karate Kid in Cobra Kai, or whether it's more like Undisputed, like Scott Adkins style, or Michael J. White. Either way, that's my jam. Give it to me. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think the greatest thing about that is they hit a gold mine when they brought Daniel back as well as Johnny, and it's been such a big hit. I think you probably watched it. Was on YouTube initially.
Yeah, we had to subscribe to YouTube Premium to.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so they just Netflix said, yeah, we need to grab this. They did, and they've done a great job with that series. I really, really enjoy it. I think I like Hawk the best.
Yeah, he got
Hawk. Yes, one of my favorite characters for sure. It's like you said, bringing back that original cast was so important. Seeing so many of those guys fill those roles, the nostalgia alone was great, but not just that. But they've been able to make a decent story and great action. And that's really all you need in that kind of genre. I mean, it's perfect for what it is. Does it have flaws? Does it have things I would change that I complain about? Of course. But in general, I feel like Cobra Kai is almost like the perfect extension of the first 2 Karate Kid movies.
Yep, I agree. And finally, there's a movie coming out on September 23rd called Blonde. It stars Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Okay. See, I didn't know the official title, Blonde. That makes sense. So I've yet to see Elvis, which kind of ties into this, I think, a little bit, because what I've heard is they're going to try to make a cinematic universe with, pretty much So from what I understand is what Universal and Disney are trying to do is make like an entire cinematic universe of where if their characters knew each other in real life, they kind of know each other in these movies. So I'm almost expecting to see the same guy that played Elvis show up or pop up in the Monroe series, Monroe Blonde movie. And if he does, then you're talking something major. You're talking something much bigger than movies. You're talking Marvel Cinematic Universe, but way, way larger because you're talking real life. You're talking,
we're talking
anybody,
iconic historic figures.
Mhm.
Yeah,
exactly. You're talking, and I will lose my shit over that. And so I'm really, really praying for that. But I haven't seen Elvis yet. I'm wanting to catch it when it comes out, the first, VOD streaming service. But that aside, Blonde, yes, gonna see it. Again, if Elvis, it just kind of depends on how they tie it all in. Elvis and Monroe being the first two movies, I've heard they want to make a James Dean movie and kind of tie it into this too, and that would be awesome. So if I get that second, third movie and they start tying things together, you're going to start seeing me, and not just me, but the world lose their minds over the cinematic universe of real people that I just don't think can be matched, and that's what I'm really, really hoping for. Now, if they got the balls to do it, that's one thing. But I really hope to see that. And I'll probably see Blonde in theaters. Like I said, I might not see Elvis. I'll see Elvis when it, like on this, streaming service VOD. Depending on how much I like that will probably depend on if I see Blonde in theaters or wait for VOD as well. And then because Walk the Line was a great movie. It was like the last great movie like this I can think of. But just depending on, like I said, if they tie all that in together, you'll see me get as excited about that as I do Marvel.
Yeah. I think Blonde is actually coming to Netflix. I think it's on a Netflix movie.
Good. Well, that's good. I'll definitely see it. I'll be watching that the day it comes out because that is one I've been excited about. Ana de Armas, obviously a great actress, beautiful. She's fantastic. Like one of the first things I obviously remember her in, not too long ago. Actually, Knives Out, and I thought she had a great character, great role, and ever since then she's kind of blown up and as this this great actress. And when I heard she was cast as Marilyn Monroe, before I even saw set pictures, I was like, yes, she can do it.
You mentioned Knives Out because that was a good movie. She never saw it, but it was a really good movie, and I didn't write it on my list to talk about, but Netflix has a spinoff movie about that as well with another great cast. So it's like, I'm really
I've heard about that one.
Yeah. So, I'm really excited about that. So, I know we're getting ready to close this up. So just tell people what maybe you got coming up or what you're going to be doing soon.
Sounds great. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. I'm Deryk. Flick Snacks and Knick Knacks. Typically, I've done a lot of movie reviews, director interviews, a couple of actress interviews, but lately I've been a little less active. I hope to change that. This is the first collab I've done in at least 2-3 months, at least 3 months, at least. But this is when I wanted to I'm trying to get back started into everything, but I'll be doing a lot of the new movie reviews. I hope to do a lot more VOD movie reviews, something I haven't done very often at all recently. I hope to do more collabs on my channel. But honestly, just, what everyone wants to see. I don't have anything really lined up. Just whatever movies come out, I'll try to, get reviews out for. But as far as everything else goes, I would much rather appear on other people's channels and kind of do things like this. And
it's a lot easier when you have to put all the work in.
It's easier.
What we need the snack reviews. We're gonna find the new stuff and do the new snacks.
Yeah, we'll collaborate. You design it, and then you tell us what we need to buy, and we'll get it, and then we'll all do a show where we taste the same snacks.
Absolutely, that sounds great, guys. You just let me know. I'm there.
All right, well, hold on 1 second, then we're gonna say our goodbyes, and we'll be right back. So hold on 1 second.
Sounds good. You go for it, man.
All right, all. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the chat. As I post,
the chat.
Huh?
So we did have quite the chat.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. We
good.
had some active people.
We do have a merch site now. So if you go to metaltavernradio.com, at the bottom, we have a link there for our Shopify. So there's a few things there if you're interested. It'd be greatly helpful for us. Giving
It's
us
kind of a
bit
new
dough.
thing, so you can just check it out and see and give us some suggestions because we've been working on designing a bunch of stuff too.
All right, all. So again, much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and we'll see y'all next time. Cheers.